Dear students, and welcome back to the online classes for English subject. Before I proceed on to the next topic, which I really want to take for explanation, let us first discuss the questions which are there for the chapter The Enemy, which I completed in my previous videos. So let's go through it. As you can see that in the very first page, you can see one question given over there. Who was Dr. Sadao? Where was his house? And for this, the points that must be included, the first part, who was Dr. Sadao? Dr. Sadao was a Japanese surgeon and scientist. Remember this. You need to write both the post, surgeon as well as scientist. And you can also add that he went at an age of 22 to America to specialize in surgery and came back at the age of 30. So he had spent a good 8 years making everything or learning everything of surgery in America. And then coming to the second part, that is where was his house, that is very right there front of you in page number 1 itself, that his house was built on a spot of the Japanese coast, and it was having a narrow beach that was outlined with bent pines. And this is what you have to write down for the very first question of this chapter. Now let's move on to the next one. The next question is over here in the third page, or the third page, yes, no, the fourth page, I expect it, yes, in the fourth page. And it is given over there, will Dr. Sadao be arrested on the charge of harboring an enemy? You all know from the very beginning of this chapter, I have told you that this subject or this chapter is based on the time period when war broke out between Japan and America, and they were two enemy countries. So when Dr. Sadao has given shelter, harboring here means shelter, means he has allowed that man to stay in his house, that is harboring or sheltering. So he has given shelter or harbor to an enemy, to the prisoner of war. So whether he will be arrested. In this question, the answer must consist of this fact that Dr. Sadao was a Japanese and the wounded soldier was an American, a prisoner of war. My dear students, for prisoner of war, in capital letters, you can write down POW. And when it is said prisoner of war, basically here you have to tell that Dr. Sadao, out of his duty towards the human race, carried this man home and looked after him. But as per the rules of a nation, he had worked against as a citizen of the nation. So if the matter comes out, it was quite obvious that he will be arrested for harboring an enemy. I hope I am clear to you. Then let's move on to the next question. The next question is over here. It is in page number 8. Okay, page number 8 is, will Hannah help the wounded man and wash him herself? This is, see, if you will see somewhere in this chapter, not only this chapter, basically the questions are related to the context which are there in that very page itself where the questions are given. Now here it has been asked, will Hannah help the wounded man and wash him herself? I hope you remember the situation. When they brought the man to their house, that wounded fellow, he was very dirty, and the first thing to be done was to clean him. For which Hannah wanted Sadao not to touch, and one of the servant, the governors of their children, to do this work. This is just a reminder, it's not part of the answer. So here what you have to say is that both husband and wife, Dr. Sadao and Hannah, informed their servants about bringing this man home, who was an American, a prisoner of war. But when she asked Yumi to clean this man, she declined, or she denied stubbornly to clean a white man. To that, being the mistress of the house, she scolded her, and out of that anger, Hannah herself cleaned this man. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. Let's move on. Now the next question, where it is, yeah, it's coming up. And the next question is, what will Dr. Sadao and his wife do with the man? Now here you might think that, madam, why this question is given over here? Because already an operation has been done and he is um, unconscious or after the operation and all. So what you have to do over here is that you just have to tell that when they decided, now these are the points, when Dr. Sadao and Hannah decided after a lot of thinking not to push him back into the water and brought him home, informed the servants and decided after treating him and making him all right, they will hand him over to the Japanese police. And because of that reason, he operated on the man to save his life. That's the point that you have to write down in this question for this question's answer. Now let's move on to the next question. And next question, I think, is something that we have discussed already earlier. It's just a repetition of question that is given over there in this chapter, but somewhat a little different. In this you have to add one or two more pinch of lines to make this answer look little different. Now the question, I think it will look similar to you, that will Dr. Sadao be arrested on the charge of harboring an enemy? It's given, will Dr. Sadao be arrested on the charge of harboring an enemy? We all know that harboring an enemy is betraying your own country. So now the question's answer. On the 27th day, the servants left the house because they don't want to live there longer, as the enemy was staying there. And a messenger also arrived. Hannah thought he came to arrest Dr. Sadao. Now it was obvious that because they have given shelter to an enemy person, to an enemy soldier, if the matter is disclosed outside, for sure Dr. Sadao will be arrested and will be punished savagely. So because of that reason, it is 100% sure that if the matter comes out, Dr. Sadao will be arrested for harboring an enemy. Now after this, let's see, go for the next question. The next question coming up is, what will Dr. Sadao do to get rid of the man? Now here comes actually 2 points, One point is he tells the entire matter to the general, and then they decide to get the assassins do the work. This is one point, but somehow it don't fit in too much in over here in the answer, because what will Dr. Sadao do to get rid of the man? You have to write down both the points. So you will divide the answer into two small paras. Okay. The first para will be, Dr. Sadao disclosed the presence of the enemy soldier to the general, and the general suggested to arrange for assassins, his private assassins, to murder and dispose the body of the young soldier. This is the first one. The second one, when the plan of general did not work out the way it was supposed to be, or you can start with, after a long wait, Dr. Sadao decided and spoke to the young man, arranged his boat with extra food, clothing, bottles of water, asked him to move to the island nearby and wait for the Korean fishing boat and to escape from there. So these are the 2 points, means 2 parts of this very same question. Now after this is done, let's move on to the next one, which is given over here. Actually the box 1 questions are over, and here comes reading with insight. It's somewhat like value based questions only, they are maximum of them. The first question is, there are moments in life when we have to make hard choices between our roles as private individuals and as citizens with a sense of national loyalty. Discuss with reference to the story you have just read. I hope you might have understood the question. See, the question here, it means, see carefully. There are moments in life when we have to make hard choices between our roles as private individuals. With reference to the story. So, with reference to the story, if we consider Dr. Sadao, private individual means a doctor. And as citizens with a sense of national loyalty means a Japanese. So you have to put forward your points where you have to mention that in many people, it or often it comes in people's life moments where they have to make choices between the two, as individual, as citizen. Difference is there. When we talk about citizen, it's a big country we are talking about. Our fellow men we people are talking about. Our countrymen we people are talking about. Our every decision affecting them. So, because of that reason, you just have to talk and write down about this. You have to discuss about this matter, that if you are in place of Dr. Sadao, with reference to what Dr. Sadao did, how you will tackle such situation. Okay? Dr. Sadao was compelled by his duty as a doctor to help the enemy soldier. What made Hannah, his wife, sympathetic to him in the face of open defiance from the domestic staff? Okay, Dr. Sadao was saving the man because he was a doctor. But what about Hannah? She was not a nurse. She was a simple Japanese lady, a wife of a Japanese man. Then why she was doing all those things? Why she was sympathetic when the entire household, means the servants, they were totally against defense. Defense means they were totally in against this husband and wife. So to that we can say that basically the reason might be that she felt, you can say that she felt that the husband of hers was doing the right thing, saving a human life, and because of that reason she felt like supporting him. And because of that reason, even though the servants, they spoke a lot of things which fell into her ears also, she decided to help her husband. And because of that reason, she helped him out, or she assisted him in all the or in all the things that he had done towards. So we can say that Hannah, she had believed that what Dr. Sada was doing was correct. What explains the attitude of the general in the matter of the enemy soldier? Was it human consideration, lack of national loyalty, dereliction of duty, or simply self-absorption? Human consideration? No way. No way at all. Human consideration, we cannot think of it. And basically, as I said, human consideration? No way. Because about the general, already we know that if he got a chance, he would have killed the man, that enemy soldier, then and there itself. Lack of national loyalty, dereliction of duty, or simply self-absorption? I think self-absorption. Even you also will believe this, because national loyalty, if he was really loyal towards the nation, he would have immediately got Dr. Sadao arrested, put him behind the bar, and then caught that this prisoner of war. So, as I was saying, he would have caught the enemy. Dereliction of duty? Yes, definitely. Negligence of his duty. His duty was to get Sadao arrested. That's what the call of the duty says. And also that enemy soldier behind the bar, but he did nothing of it. So, national loyalty? No way. Dereliction of the duty? Yeah, definitely. Lack of national loyalty was there, dereliction of duty was there, human consideration? Not at all possible with that Japanese way of thinking. And self-absorption? Yes, definitely self-absorption. He knew it very well that Dr. Sada was indispensable for him, very, very important for him. And because of that reason, he cannot take the risk of getting Dr. Sada arrested. That's why he planned out to get the man disposed of with the help of his private assassins, without letting Dr. Sadao get arrested. Now, these are the points I have said to you. You just have to put it into a frame. While hatred against a member of enemy race is justifiable, especially during wartime, what makes a human being rise above narrow prejudices? Narrow prejudices means having enmity for the enemies, having ill feelings for them, all those things. But during the wartime, it's natural. We all know that thing. Even when we are having any hostile countries against, we are having against us many hostile countries, as we know, and we do speak a lot about them. But then what it is that makes human being rise up? Obviously, the human insight, the humanity inside arises a man, arises a human being, despite of all the facts that how much hatred is there within us for our enemies. So this is what you have to tell, that we have to come out of those thoughts, prejudices, those clutches of thoughts. We have to raise above it. Do you think the doctor's final solution to the problem was the best possible one in the circumstances? Yes, obviously. His final solution of letting the man escape with his own boat with a lot of things in it so that he can survive on the island and from there he can escape was definitely the best possible one. Otherwise, what he would have done? If he had handed over the man to the Japanese police, he will get arrested. His family will be stamped or tagged to be traitors. And General said about the private assassins and they never turned up. 3 sleepless nights he had. So, definitely it was the best solution. So, you have to tell that first thing, he waited for General's assassins. They didn't turn up. He had 3 sleepless nights. The second thing, if he had handed over to the Japanese police, he would have got arrested and his family would have been tagged with traitorship. And because of that reason, this was the best solution. Next question is, does the story remind you of Birth by A.J. Cronin that you read in snapshots last year? What are the similarities? You remember Dr. Manson? Yes. That baby, stillborn baby. Yeah, that chapter. So, what are the similarities? Very common similarity. That is the focus or the dedication of a doctor. In Birth, Dr. Manson was totally dedicated and wanted the Morgan couple to have the baby. And here, Dr. Sadao was dedicated and wanted that this man should survive, because if it is there in his hand, he wanted to save that life. Now, coming to the next, is there any film you have seen or novel you have read with a similar theme? I leave it to you people. It's your own personal things. If you have seen any such movie which reflects what you have seen in this chapter, the enemy, like the character of Dr. Sadao, you may please do write down the answer of this question itself also on your own. So I hope the questions are clear, the answers are also very clear to each and every one of you, and please do complete your notes so that it won't be a trouble for you when you are getting ready for your board examination. The rest short answer for the short answer questions, I'll be sending you the PDF very soon. Okay, now after the questions being discussed of the chapter The Enemy, let's move on to the topic that I would like to take for the explanation purpose. Actually, this time I'm planning to have a poem. We did a lot of prose now, so a little bit of poetry, let's do it. And this is the very last poem that I have taken for you people. That is Aunt Jennifer's Tiger, been written by Adrian Rich, and a very beautiful poem. Because in this the state of woman is being explained. So it's been shown that how a woman, not that everyone passes through the same, but the difficulties, the hardships of married life, and how she suffers, and what is the impact of that, and how she stays under the influence, and what are the thoughts of such lady. That all things has been portrayed over here in this poem very beautifully by Adrian Rich. So let's move on to the poem. Let me read out first about her, the poet's introduction. Poem number 6, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. About the poet, Adrian Rich was born in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. She is widely known for her involvement in contemporary women's movement as a poet and theorist. She has published 19 volumes of poetry, 3 collections of essays, and other writings. A strong resistance of racism and militarism echoes through her work. The poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers address the constraints of married life a woman experiences. Okay, born in USA, our poetess, basically she is known for writing down the materials or matters related to that time. Contemporary means that time. Women movements means related to ladies, related to women, whatever movement used to take place. A lot of revolutionary things have taken place. So as a poet and theorist, she used to do, she had written, or she had got some 19 volumes of poetry published. Even some essays are there in her bag, and some writings also. She is basically a strong opposer of racism and militarism, which can be very clearly be seen in her writings also. Racism means race, caste, and militarism. The militarism, you all might be knowing that someone's dictatorship rule. And then in this poem, now leaving all those things aside, what this poem portrays, this poem is about the constraints. Constraints means under difficulties of a lady, of a married lady, that she experiences. Now this is a general thing being said. It doesn't mean that every lady is passing through the same thing. It's not like that. So let's come to the poem. And my dear students, if it would have been the classroom, you know what I always ask you people to do: keep the pencil ready in your hand to note down the explained lines of the poem in your own words, with the difficult words meaning as well. I hope you are having the textbooks with you, and I would like my students to do the same thing what that you used to do in the classroom. So let's have that same touch. Coming to the poem, the very first stanza. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree, they pace in sleek, silveric certainty. I'll read the entire poem first. Aunt Jennifer's fingers, fluttering through her wool, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. First stanza. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree, they pace in sleek silveric certainty. Okay, this our dear Aunt Jennifer, she's knitting. You know what is knitting? Silai kadai, right? And she is making a panel or a screen. You might have seen, no? The people, those who knit with wools and all, sceneries and all, which are wall hangings, used as wall hangings. Yes, exactly, that kind of wall hanging she is making. Now what is there, what scene is there in that wall hanging, that is very important. So the scene is like this, that one side tree is there, and some men are standing beneath the tree, means under the tree they are standing, and one tiger is moving, means jumping. It has been knitted in such a manner that it looks like from one end of the wall hanging, which has been knitted, the tiger is jumping to the other end. And how it has been explained further, you see. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen. Screen here is that wall hanging, which has been knitted by her. So what she had knitted, Aunt Jennifer's tigers. It's not pets, okay? What she had knitted there, that tigers we are talking about. So her tigers prance across a screen. They jump across. They have been knitted like they are jumping from one end to other end of the screen. Now the tigers. Tigers are such beautiful creatures. Sorry. Bright topaz denizens of a world of green. World of green. Jungle. Forest. Bright topaz denizens. Denizens means citizens. Bright topaz. You might have heard the name topaz. Topaz is a gem. A jewelry item. A gem. Stone. Gemstone it is. पुखराज बोलते हैं जिसे हम हिंदी में. So you might have, now you see that line, the citizens of a world of green, the citizens of the jungle, bright topaz, their eyes are shining like a gem, like a topaz. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. Now beneath the tree, under the tree, the men who are standing there, these tigers are not frightened of them. They pace us in sleek, chivalric certainty. Now what they mean? Sleek. Sleek means, you might have seen the fur, the skin of the tiger, very shining. Yeah, the striped body. Beautiful it looks. Chivalric. Chivalric means they look very brave. Classy. Then certainty here means confidence. So, what happened? Once again, let us see. They pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. Means they move. They run or they move in confidence, filled with bravery, and with a body shining and groomed. That is what that line means. So let's see that stanza once again. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. Now here Aunt Jennifer's tigers, which she had knitted on the screen, on the wall hanging, they are jumping across. They are the citizens of the world of green, that is jungle. They are having bright eyes and they do not fear the men who are standing under the tree, and they move, they pace, they run, they jump, they move, anything you can say, with confidence, with bravery, courage, and their skin is shining. They are very well groomed. Now this is the introduction of Aunt Jennifer's tiger, which are there on the wall hanging. Now let's see the second stanza. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Now Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool. I have already told you that she is knitting. So she is using the wool and her fingers are fluttering. Her fingers are fluttering means they are quivering, okay, and shaking while she is using the needles. Find even the ivory needle hard to pull. Ivory you all know, elephant teeth, ivory, yeah. So these needles, silai, the needle which is used for the knitting purpose, you all might be knowing how the knitting is done. The wool is taken over the one and then again it is with the other needle, it is pulled out and it's put under the hole which has been created by the loop that is created. So you all know how the stitching is being done, how the knitting is being done. So now Aunt Jennifer, her fingers were shivering or quivering through the wools. Well, means her fingers or her hands were so much trembling that she cannot even handle that lightweight ivory needle also properly. She was finding it very hard to pull the wool over the ivory needles also. The reason is there in the next two lines. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Now you might think that, madam, it is so funny. Wedding band here means the finger ring, the ring which is generally put during the marriage time. So you might be thinking that, ma'am, is so funny that how can that wedding ring be so heavy that she cannot move her fingers and she cannot handle the ivory needle. Actually, that wedding band and its massive weight is a symbolic part. Means they are used as symbols to explain the difficulties that are related to the marriage of hers. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band here means the difficulties, the ordeals, the problems, the hardships. They are making the wedding band very heavy on her hand, on her fingers. And because of that reason, her hands are trembling. Her hands are trembling out of the bad experiences of her married life. I hope now I am clear to you. Once again, let's have. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. It means because she is wearing on her finger Uncle's wedding ring, the ring given by Uncle to her during the time of marriage, due to the weight, massive weight, due to the weight of the difficulties of her married life, her hands are trembling and she is finding it very difficult to pull the wool over the ivory needles which are there in her hand. Last stanza. When Aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. Two different situations have been mentioned over here in this stanza. The first one is when Aunt is dead, means when Aunt will be dead, her terrified hands will lie still ringed, again symbolic, ringed with ordeals. Means when she was alive, she was carrying the difficulties. She was like bearing all the hardships of her married life. And when she will die also, she will carry it with her because the ring will go with her into her grave. So she was mastered by, means she has done a kind of a mastership in the difficulties of married life. So when she will die, her fingers which will be still ringed with that wedding ring, it means that her difficulties will go with her when she will die to her grave. And on the other hand, what about the tigers that she had knitted? The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. The tigers, on the other hand, which she had knitted on that wall hanging, there won't be any change in their bravery or their move. They will keep on jumping, proud and unafraid. A total different situation, or you can say a totally different thing than what will happen to Aunt Jennifer when she died. She will die and she will carry her ordeals or her difficulties along with her to her grave. But though she will take her difficulties, here the tigers, they will still be proud and unafraid of anyone. So my dear students, I hope all the three stanzas are clear to you. Any kind of doubts are there, you are fully free to ask me. You are having the number with you. If any kind of doubts are there, please don't hesitate to ask about it. And the questions which are given of this particular poem, you may please go through it. Before I carry on the next topic, we will discuss about it like how we have done today for the enemy chapter. So till we meet again, I hope that you all are safe, and be safe, and God bless you all. So goodbye.